announcements. Please make your offices in order as soon as possible. One thing I really want to stress on is the importance of having a secretary. So like I said before, you should be keeping track of everything that you do for the U. So our website director, Niall Dixon, he is formatting the website so that each member of the U can have her own account to log into, or his account to log into, where you can record your activities for the week, and then an officer of your chapter will confirm the hours.
So yeah, volunteer hours. That's where you can log in your volunteer hours, so you can keep track of them. Oh, also when she says the chapters, she means your school. Like the chapter is your school, and then there's like a bunch of chapters, all the schools put together as the big Houston area, and then all the cities put together as the big national area.
So the thing is, for officer positions, there's pretty good chance that if we need something and we don't have an officer position for that, we're gonna make a position up for you, because it's really important for everyone to just carry out what they think is best for this organization and what their ideas are, and just get work done.
Yeah, if you're willing to do work and you have a new idea for a position, just come to us and we most likely will say yes.
And I also want to point out that some of the girls are definitely here so they can put something on their college apps, and I also want to stress that this organization is different, because the thing is that we actually want to get projects done, and we want to get things going and fundraise money. Our main goal is fundraising and service. So you can join those committees, and you can actually put like what you've done. Like you can't when you put on your college app, oh, vice president of this, secretary of this, treasurer of this, it's just a laundry list, and it's so empty and superficial. But when you say you put this one position, I did X amount of hours to do this, and we raised Y amount of money, and we helped Z amount of children, that has a huge tangible impact. So Pigs and Diversity is a grant I submitted for, and I'll find out I'll find out in October if I receive it. So basically every child, we're going to gather in a local elementary school, or each high school, like a few high schools will surround an elementary school that they're close to, so maybe like 5 elementary schools in Houston, and we will put up booths and with colors of paint, and then each color of paint will represent a character trait such as kindness or compassion or intelligence, or just character traits that people would really, really admire. And we're obviously gonna have to work with the local elementary schools or a local YMCA or something like that, and each child will pick one color. So after that, everyone will stand in a circle, and the children will share one thing about their culture that is stereotypical and that is not true, and that's something that they don't like. And then one thing that is authentic and that they're really proud of, and then what that character trait means to them. And then they're gonna cross their hands on someone else. And after every single kid has shared in the circle, and the thing is, it could be like in maybe like 3 different circles, depending on the number of kids that we receive to this event. The kids will all, this will obviously be videotaped and photographed, and they'll record all the responses and also like press their hands on another kid. And then once everyone has gone, the kids will be free to press all their different colored hands on everybody, and then they'll be colored with different colors, and it shows that everyone, although they come from different backgrounds, the thing is that they're all the same.
Organization, which is Students for the Awareness and Understanding of Self-Compassion, which is a mouthful, so luckily we have a really snazzy little acronym, and saucy. So hopefully one day we're gonna have t-shirts that say something like, we're saucy. Yeah. So go to the next slide. I'm gonna read you guys our mission statement, so you guys really know what we're about. We're dedicated to giving the Houston community the gift of education about self-compassion. So we're gonna host a series of events that teach meditative practices, unconditional self-acceptance, loving kindness, mindfulness, healthy body image, effective communication skills, and the art of treating themselves as they would treat a good friend. In terms of communication, what I'll mostly be focusing on is assertiveness training, which is a topic I really like, and it's really helpful in all areas of your life, and it really ties in with self-compassion. So go to the next slide. Here in the West, it's not a very common term to hear, self-compassion. Compassion is common, but the good thing is that there's absolutely really no difference between compassion and self-compassion. other than self-compassion is compassion that's directed toward ourselves. And in the next slide, there's a way that I really like to put it. You, as much as anyone else on this planet, deserve your love and affection. So all that compassion that you're giving to your friends when they're having rough times, that's something that you have the right to give to yourself when you're having rough times. Next slide. So, okay, let's say that you are studying all week for a really big test, and when your test comes back, you got a C or a D. Like, does this sound like a similar dialogue that goes on inside your head? Or if you tell a joke and it didn't turn out that anyone laughed, you might think something like that. A guy that you like doesn't like you back. Maybe you start calling yourself hideous because I'm ugly. This is pretty common to talk to yourself this way. But what if instead we talk to ourselves in the next way? Wow, this is really difficult for me right now, but I'm not alone in this. All humans experience moments of failure. It's not that big of a deal that I didn't pass my exam. This is going to be over and I can do better next time. Or, wow, this rejection from this person's really hurting me. I need to talk about this maybe with my best friend. You know, just being kinder to yourself, not calling yourself ugly, not beating yourself up. So you can do the next one. This is my goal. I want to stop self-abuse and end this epidemic of inner self-hate, because we talk a lot about bullying in schools, like don't bully others, but we don't talk about not bullying ourselves. And whether we realize it or not, like even I do it, even though I'm all into this self-compassion thing, sometimes I catch myself saying, like the other day I was really tired and I looked in the mirror and I looked like a Holocaust victim, and I was like, oh my god, I look really ugly. But then I was like, wait, I'm just tired. I have a right to be tired. I have a right not to look like America's Next Top Model every once in a while. It's not that big a deal. So you can go on to the next slide. There's 3 elements of self-compassion, which is really important to know. You can click. There's common humanity, which common humanity is just realizing that it's okay, don't worry. You can just click them all. Okay, there's 3. Common humanity is just realizing that everyone's connected and we all have problems. Knowing that even if something seems really unique to us, like it's horrible that Dylan doesn't like me, oh my god. Like there's lots of Dylans for every girl out there, and it's gonna keep happening. It's happening to everyone. You're not alone. It's okay.
Her name's Dylan.
Oh, well, if Dylan doesn't like you, it's gonna happen to a lot of people out there. So just know you're not alone. Self-kindness is speaking to yourself with kindness. Like, you're not crazy. When I say your inner voice, I'm not saying you hear voices. Like, we talk to ourselves in our mind. Like, that's normal. That's how we think. That's how we do things. So it's just speaking to yourself nicely. And mindfulness is, I think I actually talk about that. So click to the next slide. This is about common humanity. The very definition of being human means that you're mortal, vulnerable, and imperfect. So own it. Like, this is what makes you human. Next. You can't always get exactly what you want. You're sometimes going to fail. You're probably going to fail a lot. And it's okay, because you can lift yourself back up. That's part of being compassionate to yourself. So whenever you accept this with sympathy and kindness instead of, God, I'm such a failure, I'm horrible at this, you can, you would get that? Someone really wants to get it.
Anyway.
I'm excited to see what it is.
Something Lizzie. Yeah, it's Liz.
Karina. Hi. So by emotional equanimity, that means that you'll just have a lot more emotional stability. Next. This is the one that is important because it's a little bit hard to explain. Mindfulness is a non-judgmental, open mind state where you can observe your thoughts and feelings as they are without suppressing or denying them. At the same time, mindfulness requires that we not be over-identified with thoughts and feelings so that we aren't caught up and swept away by our negative reactivity. And what this means is essentially, say I'm talking to someone I don't particularly like and they insult me. instead of getting all fired up in that moment and start either cussing that person out or kind of retreating, like not saying anything and then walking away and then feeling really hurt by what that person told me and like really letting it get to me, it's just being aware and present in that moment and acknowledging like, okay, this person just insulted me and I'm feeling really hurt right now. And since you're kind of calm, you can react the way that you would normally, the way that you feel would be best to react. So it's up to you if you still think the right thing to do is to cuss them out. That's your call. But at least you didn't let your anger overpower you. You were in control. Your feelings weren't in control. I'm sure that's all happened to you guys, that you let the feelings get the best of you or you just totally explode in front of someone. Or later on at home. So I'm really lucky that I have an amazing group of people as my officers. I'm not going to talk about them because that's awkward. But this is Allison. She has a certificate in basic mediation, and she's going to graduate with a focus on diplomacy and peace resolution. This is Jamie when he's all cleaned up. He's a soccer player, so he's gonna go have a game after this. But don't be fooled by his youthful appearance. He is like a financial expert, and I wouldn't be able to have this organization if I didn't have him as my treasurer. This is Amanda, and she is involved in marketing in the fashion industry, and she really wants to continue to work. I know that interests you, so she would be a good person to talk to. This is Larissa, and she's on her way to becoming a neuropsychologist, and she's the head of PR at some main center in Houston. So any of you with people with medical interests, that's a good one to talk to as well. So you can go on next. Talk about my events now. Click swipe twice. All right, I'm going to be having a showing of misrepresentation. This is subject to change. But if you follow me, you'll be able to know if there's any changes. Misrepresentation, it's an amazing
It's
film.
one of my favorite old
It's really good, and it opens your eyes to how the media portrays women, and it's a very eye-opening film. And we're gonna have free pizza, courtesy of La Fresca Pizzeria, which is really good thin crust pizza, and they're owned by Italian people. It's really good. So that will hopefully be on September 4th at the Old Bookstore at the University of St. Thomas. Next. We're also going to be hosting a mindfulness workshop, and these are usually like $200, but we're only going to have to pay $5, and that's only for the reservation fee. I know you guys have school, so I don't know if you guys can go, but it's going to be on Friday, October 9th from 10 to 12. And it's a really good value for the money. I'm really excited. She's like a mindfulness expert. So you can go next. This is the one that I really, really want to talk to you guys about. In case there's any artists here, we're going to be hosting something called the Inner Beauty Art Show. And the purpose of that is we want to get local artists' renditions of what inner beauty means to them. And I think you can go to the next slide and there's more. Oh, here. It can be any of these things, just whatever inner beauty means to you. We already have, if you go to the next slide, we have a henna artist who's going to have a table there, and she's going to be donating the money to the Pangea Network, which is the one who hosts